Hello everyone. My name is Aisel Velasco and I will be the first presenter for group number 3. The lecture series number 3 was assigned to us and it is entitled Human Resource Planning, Recruitment, Selection and Hiring. The overview of this lesson includes 4 reasons. The first one is the importance and role of manpower planning. Second, the need for systematic program selection. Third, methods and techniques. And fourth one is the step-by-step procedure of recruitment, selection, and hiring in the Philippine educational systems. What to expect from this series? There are 7 things that you could expect from this one. The first one it will enable you to appreciate the importance and role of manpower planning. Next, gain knowledge on how to establish a human resource planning program. Third, realize the importance as well as the reasons for systematically program of recruitment, selection, and hiring of an agency and how they will fit into the human resource planning program. Fourth, identify the methods and techniques of preparing and installing a good program for recruitment, selection, and hiring. Fifth, analyze the step-by-step procedure of recruitment, selection, and hiring. Sixth, be more aware of the policies on recruitment and selection. And lastly, be familiarized with some forms used in recruitment, selection, and hiring. So let's begin with the first topic about human resource planning. What are the broader aspects of human resource planning? There are 4. The first one is systematically forecasting of manpower needs. So this means that on the basis of agency conditions and forecasts, manpower needs should be planned and monitored closely. Second, performance management. Analyzing, improving, and monitoring the performance of each employee and of the agency or organization as a whole. Third, career management. Determining, planning, and monitoring the career aspiration of each individual in the organization and developing them for improved productivity. Fourth, management development. Assessing and determining the developmental needs of managers for future succession requirements. Next question is, what are the essential steps for human resource planning? There are 5 essential steps, and it will begin with determining the workload inputs based on the goals and objectives of the organization or agency. Number 2 is studying the jobs in the organization and writing their job description and job specifications. 3. Forecasting manpower needs, determination of the number and skills of people required for their job or for the work. The fourth one is inventory manpower. This is the analysis of the present manpower that will complement to the agency to determine whether it has enough or less or more personnel. It could either be quantitative or qualitative. The last one is improvement plans. Determination of the appropriate steps to implement into the human resource plan in order to ensure that the agency has the right number and right quality of people properly assigned to job. The next question that we need to talk about is what are the advantages of human resource planning? So there are 5 that are given. The first one, through a systematically planning of human resource, an agency can be better assisted in attaining its goals and objectives. Second, it helps the agency determine its manpower needs and provides a method of meeting them. Third, it can be an effective means of planning the development and growth of the employees. Fourth, it can assist in placing the employees properly in jobs where they can maximize the use of their skills and potentials. And lastly, it can assist the agency to attract and retain better qualified employees. Once again, these are the advantages of human resource planning. The next thing that I will be discussing is about recruitment and selection program. There are elements of good recruitment and selection program that we need to know about. The first one is to be careful about selection of employees. This is because the agency must use the best techniques for the selection of employees who are well qualified for the job that they need to work into. It should select candidates who have the potential to take on added responsibilities. The second one, the employees should be placed in jobs where they can make the fullest possible use of their talent and skills. Next, along with careful selection are the regular appraisal of employees' performance on the job and careful evaluation of his potential. Fourth, in selecting employees, the agency may not always be right. It is important that the agency recognize such errors promptly and take immediate corrective action. So, the next question is, what is the importance of a well-organized selection program? The main objective of good employee selection is to acquire people who possess the ability and competence to accomplish successfully the duties and responsibilities not only of the job but to be filled, but also of the potential to grow with the agency or organization. It is therefore good personnel policy that will attract and hire for every vacant position those who possess the ability, personality, and potential to grow with the agency and to develop them into efficient, loyal, and satisfied employees. Finding the right man for a job and finding the right job for a man is available. It is essential to sound employee selection and placement. Next is, what are the advantages of scientific selection? So, briefly stated, scientific selection of employees are the following. First, reduction of cost of training and supervision. Second, utilization of every employee's best skills. Third, job satisfaction. And fourth, better and higher quality and quantity output. Then there are also factors that can make a good employees. First, a job applicant may be motivated by conditions other than income alone. So there are factors, for instance, as opportunities for demonstrating one's ability, security on the job, and the chances for advancement and professional growth, desirable working conditions. On the other hand, the men assigned to jobs may be qualified and capable. However, if they will not be provided with the proper climate, good working conditions, such as good working investment and other motivation to do a good job, the company may not get the maximum quality work performance which they are capable of. So these are the factors that will make an employee good and suitable for the job.
Hello, good day everyone. My name is Emmanuel Bahunao and I will be continuing the report about recruitment and selection program. So, what are the reasons for proper selection of employees? There are several reasons why employees must be well selected, and some of them are First, the agency's objectives are better achieved by employees who have been properly selected. Second, an incompetent employee is a liability to the company. Third, personal requirements vary from job to job. Fourth, people have a varying degree of intelligence, aptitudes, and liabilities. Fifth, labor laws protect employees, making it difficult to fire incompetent and problem employees. Six, individuals have different interests, goals, and objectives in life. And seventh, careless hiring is costly, and hiring is costly and can cause problems to the agency, especially to the supervisors and managers who have to deal with the employees. Now, why is an incompetent employee a liability to the organization? When an incompetent employee is hired because of poor selection, he becomes a liability to the organization. He does not only cause direct losses to the agency in terms of substandard performance and low productivity, but he is also a potential source of problems to management and his co-employees and the clientels. So here are some problems that may arise. First is longer job training and need for closer supervision. Second is wasted materials or damaged machines because of negligence, carelessness, or incompetence. Third is longer time for completion of an assignment and poorer quality of product or output. Fourth is wages and fringe benefits paid by the agency as a result of accident in the line of duty due to the employee's carelessness, inattention to his work, or failure to follow safety rules. Fifth is clientele's dissatisfaction due to low quality of work and satisfactory or unpleasant associations with the incompetent employees, resulting in loss of patronage. Sixth is low employee morale and inefficiency. So the members of a work group expect everyone to be punctual, efficient, and helpful, but an incompetent worker seldom possesses these qualities, and he therefore arouses the resentment of his co employees who feel he is not doing his own share of the job. So, his continued presence in the group can seriously demoralize the latter. And the last one is that the problems of employee turnover, discipline, grievances, and even court litigation, and above all, the tension and strained relations with the supervisor and management who must deal with him. Now, we are going to talk about the responsibility for recruitment, selection, and hiring process. Now, the responsibility for the recruitment, selection, and hiring process of employees differs among organizations. In small agencies, this task is often done exclusively by the head of the enterprise, the superintendent, or the manager. So this is the traditional and planned method of hiring. Sometimes the supervisor or the head of the department requiring the services of a new employee does the hiring himself. He relies on impressions obtained during the interview, particularly on the appearance of the applicant and the way he talks. Little weight is given to the applicant's actual aptitude and capacity for the work. So this practice has been found effective because the supervisor tends to hire only people he knows or those recommended by his close friends and relatives, and gives little or no weight to the relevant qualifications or competence of the applicant. But the trend today, however, especially in the larger agencies, is to assign the job of selecting and hiring employees to an employment office or personal staff, which Assist the line supervisor or department head in this task, following well established procedures of selection. Other factors that may be considered in the selection and hiring of employees are the willingness to the company to provide needed expert assistance, its personal policies, and the existing practices in the agency and the community. Now, the question is, how is employee selection by individual supervisors? In agencies where employee selection is not performed by the personal department, the choice of employee is usually left to the line supervisor. These are obvious disadvantages in this management. While the supervisor generally knows better than anyone else in the agency the kind of employee he wants, in most cases, his hands are full with his essential duties, so much that he has very little time to screen and carefully process several applicants for a vacancy. What often happens is the supervisor takes in the first applicant who appears to be satisfactory, often limits his field of selection to applicants recommended to him or who apply directly to him. Or the supervisor often results in the hiring of mediocre workers. Now, since it's usually hard to turn down a relative or friend, considering the Philippine culture, which is extended family oriented. But always remember that the right time to eliminate incompetent employee is before he is hired. And this is done by screening him out in the process of selection. However, caution should be exercised to make sure that the qualified applicants with potential abilities are not likewise screened out. Now, how is centralization of personnel selection and hiring? If the hiring policies of top management are to be consistently and efficiently carried out, the screening and hiring process should be centralized in the personnel department, which can institute better procedures in the selection of applicants. Selecting the right man for the job is a joint responsibility of the personnel manager and the line of supervisor using the rule of three, which means that the screening is done by the personnel department, but the final selection is made by the supervisor or the manager requesting for the employee. While the personnel department acts as the control center and coordinator of the action, the line supervisor must assume his rightful share of the responsibility in selecting the man for the job and in developing and training him. Now, why is the need of recognition for management? Or why is it important to recognize the need for management? The first consideration is the recognition by management of the need for sound policies and procedures on recruitment, selection, and hiring of desirable employees for the organization. Management must decide in advance what sort of employees should be hired and how this should be done. The choice of good employees will help prevent personal difficulties and problems when the agency expands. How about the selling of the program for recruitment and selection and hiring? To be effective, the rules and procedures for the program should be addressed by the top management to all executives and supervisors. And how about communicating the program for recruitment and selection and hiring? Management should define its overall objectives and establish the necessary policies and procedures of the program. Now, who is responsible for recruitment, selection, and hiring? Depending on the size of the agency, the person responsible for this function could be the personnel manager, the supervisor, the department head, or a properly trained employment clerk. Employment selection is a joint responsibility of the personnel manager and the line managers, and therefore there must be cooperation. This is especially important because the line managers and supervisors may be reluctant to entrust this function to the personnel department.
Hello and welcome to the third part of our presentation, and this is about forms and records and presented by yours truly, the Gun and Jesse James R. So, forms and records. The various forms needed for the effective implementations of the program must be designed. The records and appropriate record system setup. The Labor Code of the Philippines. So the policies and procedures of the agencies on employment should also take into consideration the government rules and regulations on this matter, especially those provided in the Labor Code and its implementing rules and regulations. The hiring is, however, done by the personnel department. A few agencies employ the services of consultants to whom they refer the applicants for screening, testing, and evaluation. This is the practice of some forward-looking firms in the Philippines, particularly for the processing of applicants for supervisory and managerial positions. In referring applicants, all that the agency does in this case is to specify the job or positions to be filled and the desired qualifications of the worker as indicated in the job description and job specification. So the consultants then screen the applicants and submit the names of those who meet the specified qualifications. The client agency then makes its final choice. This arrangement reduces the task of the firm's employment office. Other agencies utilize the services of psychological clinics for the testing and selection of the applicants referred to them. This practice has gained widespread acceptance since the services of the industrial psychologists trained in some of the best schools abroad are now available. The final choice, however, is left to the agency, which is done through the final interviews by the personnel manager, the supervisor, and the department head with whom the employee will work. Usually, the supervisor, with the approval of the department manager, makes the final decision as to whom to hire. So what are the government regulations on employment? So the Labor Code provides for the establishment of public employment offices to register applicants for employment, placement of workers, and to render vocational guidance and testing services. All prospective employees are required to register with the SSS and secure their respective registration number. Section 24 of the Social Security Law. So, installing a program for recruitment, selection, and hiring. In developing a program for the recruitment, selection, and hiring of employees, the following are to be taken into consideration. So we have here number 1, selection of employees from within or outside the agency. This involves the agency policy on transfers and promotions of employees to fill in vacancies. The second one are job analysis, job description, and specification. These 3 should be given due consideration for employees to be guided accordingly. The third one is the employment test and interviews. These cover tests for applicants for certain types of jobs and which indicates who would conduct the test, how the test would be given, and who would interview the applicant. Number 4, checking of references, police records, and clearances. Number 5, prior to registrations with the Social Security System for SSS number, Medicare or PhilHealth. Number 6. Physical examinations. 7. Introducing, inducting, and orienting the new employee to his job in the agency. Number 8. Probationary period of new employees. This refers to the agency or the company policy on the length of probationary period and related conditions. The Labor Code provides for a maximum of 6 months probationary period. Number 9. Compensation and fringe benefits of the new employee. The agency or the company policy must define the probationary period of employment and the changes in employee and compensations and fringe benefits when the employee assumes regular status. Number 10. Performance follow-up. This is the periodic follow-up on the employee's performance during the probationary period to find out how he is progressing on the job. Number 11. Periodic checkup of the program. To make sure that the program is being carried out efficiently, a periodic checkup is needed. 12. Validation studies. Studies should be conducted to find how valid are the methods and tools used in the selection, such as the test, the interviews, and the job specifications. To know whether or not the selection procedure has been effective, the employee's performance rating on the job, including his training records, are looked into. So these are the step-by-step procedures in recruitment, selections, and hiring. So step 1. This one talks about studying the different jobs in the agency. So the first requirement of the selection process is knowing what kind of a man the job needs. This requires the knowledge of the exact nature of the job to be filled, its duties and responsibilities. The steps are taken to perform those duties and responsibilities, the tools and equipment used, the working conditions under which the specified job is performed, the amount of authority delegated to the job incumbent, the supervision involved in the job, the requirements of the job such as educations, skill, and physical demands, and lastly, the environment of the job. So the job description. So a description of the duties and responsibilities attached to the job enables the employment officer to determine the special qualification which an individual must possess in order to do the job satisfactorily. It includes what is done on the job, how it is done, why it is done, the skills involved, and the tools and equipment used in doing it. Job specifications. So in analyzing the job, it is necessary to know the specific qualifications required of the man who is to do it, such as the following: amount and type of experience needed to perform the job, special training, skill and physical demands, special abilities and aptitudes, age, physical qualifications, and other requirements. So step 2, to inform the employment office about the existence of a vacancy to be filled, the line supervisor of the department head concerned should accomplish a formal requisition form indicating the facts and informations about the vacancy to be filled, such as the date when the new employee will be needed, his rate of pay, required qualifications of the employee, the job description, job specification, approval by the responsible official of the firm, and other data. So to inform the employment office about the existence of a vacancy to be filled, the line supervisor of the department head concerned should accomplish a formal requisition form indicating the facts and information about the vacancy to be filled, such as the date when the new employee will be needed, his rate of pay, required qualifications of the employee, the job description, job specification, approval by the responsible official of the firm, and other data. So this is the time for selection. In making the selection, the employment officer must be given sufficient time to recruit and evaluate the records of applicants and to arrive a sound decision as to the right man for the vacancy. Step 3. Recruiting qualified applicants. So recruitment is the process by which prospective applicants are induced to apply to the agency in order that their qualifications for present and anticipated vacancies can be evaluated through sound screening and selection procedures. The chance of finding the individual most qualified for the jobs can be better achieved if there are several applicants to select from. Sources of applicants for employment are the following: graduating students, especially those graduating at the top of their classes, the company file of unsolicited application, direct contacts with applicants, newspaper advertisements, placement offices in college and universities, recommendations from present and former employees, the government employment offices, professional and trade associations, and lastly, job website provider. So this is the step 4. This is about the reception of applicants. So not all applicants are allowed to go through the entire process of selection. Some of them are eliminated by means of the preliminary screening or site screening, whereby least desirable applicants are quickly eliminated on the basis of a rapid appraisal of their apparent characteristics such as their age, height, years of experience, physical condition, educational attainment, and others. This is the step 5. This is all about application form. So an application form is an important tool in the selection and hiring procedure as it gives vital information about the applicant which are relevant to the job for which he has applied. It is a basic source of useful information about the applicant such as his personal circumstances, educational attainment, work experience, and family background. The application form is used to the employment officer as a guide when interviewing the applicant, a basis for eliminating applicants with unfavorable personal data, as a basis for matching the qualifications of the applicant with the job requirements as indicated in the job description and job specifications, as a basis for checking on the applicant's school records, references, and former employers, part of the employee's permanent record, and for communicating with the employee or his family. So that's all. Thank you and have a good day.
Hello everyone, my name is Harty Barsibal. I am the last presenter of our group. I will be continuing the step-by-step procedures in recruitment, selection, and hiring. Let's start in step 6. Testing. Tests are needed to discover the following. First, mental ability. Second, aptitude. Third, proficiencies. Fourth, potential ability. Fifth, skills. Sixth, knowledge of an applicant. Since no single test can measure all the aspects of an individual's ability and aptitude, it is advisable to use a battery of tests. The test battery should be interpreted in its totality rather than on a particular test score and should be handled, interpreted, and analyzed by a competent and professionally trained person. After evaluating the results of the test, a further screening of the applicant's qualification is made. The psychological tests that are used may be classified into: first, intelligence; second, mental ability or alertness test; third, aptitude test; fourth, achievement test; fifth, interest test; sixth, test on personality or temperament; and seventh, dexterity test. Among the employment tests often used in choosing applicants are reasoning test and personal test. They are widely used in personal selection because They measure a person's ability to quickly learn those jobs which involve memory, reasoning, abstracting, analyzing, solving problems, and reading comprehension. They also indicate the ability to visualize relationships between objects or space, to think ahead, and to judge accurately, which are manifestations of a person's intelligence. The other tests are clerical aptitude tests. These tests measure the individual's speed and accuracy in dealing with similarities and clerical relationships. Example, numbers and names of persons or places. Shop arithmetic test. This test measures how well an individual can work out mathematical problems that come up frequently in the shop. Mechanical aptitude tests. These measure mechanical abilities or skills, either natural or acquired. They also indicate the applicant's potential for certain trades, especially in factory or maintenance work. Space relationship tests. These tests measure the ability to visualize a constructed object from a picture of a pattern. It tests the ability to imagine how an object would appear if rotated in various ways. Proficiency, trade, or achievement tests. These tests measure the individual's proficiency on the job or trade in which he has had prior experience or in which he is actually engaged at the moment. These tests measure job skill through work sample tests. Example, typing, shorthand, bookkeeping, machine operation, and drafting. Vocational interest tests. Interest tests that are designed to discover the patterns of employee interest and suggest what types of work may be satisfying to the individual. Dexterity and manipulation tests. These tests are given to applicants for jobs requiring manual skills, especially the use of fingers. Personality tests. These tests are used in measuring personality characteristics which are considered to be the basis of success in the job, particularly for supervisory and managerial positions. Their purpose is to give the applicants the information he needs in order to decide whether or not he will take the job if offered to him, and is also to create the goodwill for the agency. The interview seeks to identify the applicants. First, emotional maturity. Second, dependability. Third, self-confidence. Fourth, attitude towards job. Emotional maturity, which could be determined from accomplishments, abilities, concern and interest in activities, reaction to criticisms from superior and from other persons. Second is dependability. Dependability as shown by achievements in school or in his employment, punctuality in his commitments, faithfulness to his family, responsibilities, his lifestyle, habits, leisure time, hobbies, and environment. Third is self-confidence. Self-confidence which may be manifested by how he expressed himself, ability to adapt or adjust himself to the situation. The last one is the attitude toward jobs, which may be determined from attitude toward superiors, co-employees, teachers, emotional maturity of the individual, his ability to withstand stress and tension, and his ability to gain respect and cooperation. Seventh step, checking the applicant's records. Various checks on applicants' background and references are used, such as telephone calls, letters of inquiry, sending information forms to the applicant's former employers, teachers, and other individual references. These are to determine the type of job formerly done by the applicant and how efficient his performance was. It also determines his work experience and his educational background, which indicate the applicants can do, and will-do qualifications. His high school records, which show his achievements and conduct while in school, which may have significant bearing on his future employment. His extracurricular activity in college, which indicate his ability to get along with people and getting things done. Step 8. Interview. The purposes of the interview are to find out how well qualified the applicant is for the position. Duties, responsibilities. It also talks about creativeness, which are the ability to anticipate needs, work out improvements by trying new methods, and being self-starter without any prompting superiors. It also talks about attitude toward other persons as manifested by friendly and realistic appraisal of other people, ability to get along with others, the way he talks about other people. Same thing with value system as shown by the desire of security and progress, ambition, whether he wants a job to accomplish something worthwhile or merely a job without responsibility. Lastly, it is the critical attitude which may determine whether or not he is gripper, example, critical of things around him, blaming others for his misfortune or failure, and suspicious of others. Step 9. Matching the applicant with the job. This matching process will enable the employment officer to determine if the applicant can perform the job satisfactorily. In the selection of the right employee for a job, the following are some useful tips. First, age. The applicant's age must be within the range prescribed by the job specification and the agency policy. Some agencies have rules specifying the minimum and maximum ages of the applicants who may be employed. Second, education. This factor considers the formal schooling required to satisfactorily perform the job. The applicant's ability to grow in the job should also be considered. Third, experience. Consider the minimum amount of previous experience he has had in the jobs related to the position for which he is being considered. Fourth, appearance. Consider the total effect of the applicant's appearance. Does physical appearance strikes you? Is he a likable person? Is he antagonistic? Is he tactless or irritable in his dealing with people? Fifth, health. The medical department makes certain that the applicant is in good health and physically fit for the job. How is the final evaluation of the applicant? After completing the interviews, tests, and other fact-finding procedures, the employment officers make the final evaluation of the applicant, the total person who will work for the agency. The following are considered in the final evaluation. First, the can-do traits. Second, the will-do traits. Third, potential abilities. And lastly, the danger signals. Can-do traits. These are applicants' ability to do the job, such as work experience and past performance. What has he done in the past? Education and training, which may indicate his intelligence and his aptitude for the particular job. Skills, knowledge, and experience along the lines or related to the particular job. Does he possess the process attributes for the work? Physical and personal conditions that may be required by the job. Example, appearance, speech, mannerism, habit, general impression, and energy. The question is, does he appear alert or is he slow in movement? Next is will-do traits. The applicant may be qualified for the job but consider his willingness and interest to do the duties and responsibilities of the job. The will-do traits include the following. Motivation to do a good job. What motivated him in seeking a job? Stability in employment with the agency, which may show by interest, ambition, the previous record of transfer from other firms, outside factors and external pressure affecting him in his family, problems of the job environment, and also the attitude towards employment, willing to accept duties other than regularly assigned to him. Next is potential abilities. What are the applicant's potential abilities? Does the applicant possess some hidden talent that can be developed? Is the applicant interested in self-development to enable him to move to a higher position in the agency? The last one is the danger signals. The employment officer should watch out for the following in applicants: stability on the job. Does the applicant intend to remain long in the agency? Does he have plans of moving out after some time? Also, the job hopping or frequent changing of jobs. An emotionally disturbed or maladjusted person has a tendency to change jobs. However, a scientific projection states that men, especially in management and in technical or executive positions, will change their jobs once or twice in the next decade. Bad habits. Does he gamble or drink liquor excessively? His associates or barkada, what kind of people does he go with? Financial habits. Does he live beyond his means or financial capability? Does he often get into indebtedness? Environmental factors and external pressures such as family or personal problems, relationship with other women, or in-laws and other domestic problems. Absenteeism prone, accident prone, these affect certain individuals only. Tardiness prone, is he of the habit of not waking up early to be at his work on time? Lastly, physical handicaps that may directly affect his performance on the job. Step 10. Final selection by immediate supervisor or department head. Employment involves 3 decisions. First, management. Second, applicant. Third, the supervisor. The management's decision as to who among the applicants would best fit the job therefore may be hired. Second, the applicant's decision as to whether or not the job is right for him after the supervisor has discussed the job duties. Is he really interested in the job and does he want to work for the agency? Lastly, the supervisor must look into his personality and see if he is able to work well with the members of his team. The supervisor or head of the unit making the request for a new employee makes the final choice from among the applicants who have passed screening by the employment office. Step 11. Physical and medical examination. The selected applicant is required to pass a physical and medical examination. In small agencies, the applicants may be referred to a company physician or to a medical consultant for the medical and physical checkup. In some cases, the new man is simply asked to present a certification from private physician as to his health condition. Large agencies, however, usually have their own medical departments or retain the services of private hospitals or clinics for the purpose. In addition to the physical examination, many agencies also require the applicant to get police and NBI clearances. This is done to safeguard the agency against potential or confirmed troublemakers or applicants with a criminal background. Step 12. Hiring. When a candidate has passed all the selection requirements and is chosen, he is finally sent to the personnel department for the hiring process. The following process then takes place. Hiring papers are prepared to indicate the condition of employing him, whether probationary, temporary, contractual, or etc. If other than regular, the period of employment, the specific project, and the termination date should be indicated in the contract. The other terms and conditions of employment, such as salary, promotion, vacation, sick leave, social security system, Medicare, and etc., are also included in the employment contract. On the security of tenure, the Labor Code of the Philippines provides that in cases of employment without a definite period, the employer shall not terminate the services of an employee except for a just cause. The final approval by the agency official responsible for confirming appointments. The signing of the employment contract by the applicant to signify his acceptance of the stipulated condition of his employment. accomplishing the permanent personal records, example, income tax deduction form, social security system form, Medicare form, and other forms required by the office. Notification to the payroll section and the department where the employee will work. After completing the paper requirements of the personnel department, the new employee is ready to undergo the orientation or induction program of the agency. Follow up on placement. When a new employee is placed on the job, his work should be followed up to ensure that his progress is not being hampered by certain problems affecting him or his job. This check also serves to measure the effectiveness of the selection and placement procedure. The primary responsibility for follow-up belongs to the line supervisors, but the personnel manager may be asked to give them counsel and assistance. It is a good policy to know the problems of a new employee so he may be helped before gets discouraged. A man who is not happy with the job either because he is improperly placed or because of any other factor is a potential source of inefficiency and other serious problems. Further evaluation and check-up may be made after a couple of weeks, a month, or 2 months. The final appraisal may be made before deciding whether or not to change the employee status from probationary or temporary to regular. Categories of employees. Employees and workers usually fall under different categories according to the nature of their job or their status of employment. First is the regular employee. It is a person who, having passed through a probationary period of employment, is placed on the regular roles of the agency. The one who is assigned to perform work directly related to regular operations of the firm. It is also sometimes called a permanent employee or is employed without a definite period. The employer may not terminate her service except for a just cause or when authorized by law. Next is employment without a definite period. The employment is said to be without a definite period when he has been hired without any specific date of termination or period of employment. Lastly, probationary employee. A probationary employee or worker is a person hired to occupy a permanent or regular position in the agency for a specified trial period to prove if he is acceptable for the job. The employee is not usually entitled to any fringe benefit except whatever is provided for in the collective bargaining agreement or in agency policy, if any. And this is the end of our report. Thank you and God bless.